Milwaukee Bucks have just made a sneaky good trade by acquiring Knicks center Jericho Sims. We're going to break down this trade and discuss what it means going forward, as the player they sent back is very intriguing. Stay tuned for all that in this episode, folks. Before we get into it, if you're a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel and you're enjoying the Bucks content, make sure to smash that subscribe button. But ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, also, we're getting close to 3,000 subscribers, so make sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to help us towards that goal. But ladies and gentlemen, this just dropped minutes ago surrounding the Milwaukee Bucks. And obviously, earlier today, they made a trade surrounding Kyle Kuzma. Jimmy Butler now is traded to the Warriors. There's a lot of different things going on here. We know the Bucks, more moves were coming. They got their backup center slash, maybe some interesting starting minutes. Probably not, mainly backup center spot in Jericho Sims. The New York Knicks are trading center Jericho Sims in Milwaukee to the Milwaukee Bucks as a part of the Kyle Kuzma trade. So technically, this is still a part of the Kyle Kuzma trade, but the Bucks get a center. Now, this is super interesting because I'm actually a big fan of this move. I think there's a world where Jericho Sims has some sort of impact, and for the player that they gave up, you have to be fairly happy with this trade. I mean, Sims, is super athletic. He is super he's a great defender, great rebounder, but again, he has a lot of work to do. However, we know, and there's a bunch of things to go over, but the player they gave up in this deal is Delon Wright and cash. So they traded Delon Wright and cash to the Knicks for Jericho Sims. We're going to dive into the stats and dive into all these things, but on the surface, I mean, it's a good move for the New York Knicks, for the Milwaukee Bucks. They get a center, which was desperately needed. I mean, Bobby Portis is either going to be shipped off tomorrow or tonight, I guess, or is going to be that backup four. Now, when you're looking at it from the Bucks perspective, again, you get a guy in Jericho Sims he's an intriguing player. This season, the stats will not jump out to you at all. This isn't a huge move by any account. However, he is pretty solid. He's filled in, decently for the Knicks over there. He has basically no offensive game besides, pick and roll, lobs, things like that. But he knows his role. He's a solid defender, is very versatile, and he can play well with some of the other bigs. There might be some big lineups with him playing alongside Brook Lopez. There might be some lineups with him playing alongside a lot of these other guys, and you can't be mad at this deal simply because all they give up was cash and Delon Wright. And Delon Wright was supposed to be the backup point guard for the Milwaukee Bucks this season, was supposed to be, a really critical asset to this team, a crucial asset, and he just hasn't been. He was unplayable. The Bucks haven't played him. They preferred Ryan Rollins. Now, this opens up more time for Ryan Rollins, but not only opens up more time for Ryan Rollins, will give the Milwaukee Bucks a chance to have another center who can be versatile. I mean, he started 11 games last season for the Knicks. This season started 5. He knows his role. He'll be able to come in, play some chippy defense, do things of that nature, and ultimately, it's going to be interesting to see. It's exactly what the team needs, an athletic big body that can grab rebounds. And to be able to get him for nothing. They didn't give up a pick. It's not a second-round pick. They're literally giving up Delon Wright and cash. So essentially, you get a big need for this team. Now, is he going to be able to fill in and actually make a huge impact? Probably not. But you gave up absolutely nothing. So I think it's a bit of a finesse here. And again, this is a part of the trade that sent Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, and a pick swap to the Wizards for Kuzma, Baldwin, and a second. So, so far, this trade deadline, it's been interesting for John Horst. The Kuzma trade starting to grow on me a little bit. Kuzma sent that message to the Milwaukee Bucks fans saying that he's ready to work, ready to give behind the scenes, all these different things. But, for Jericho Sims, for a guy, again, he hasn't done much at the NBA level, but man, oh man, he's probably going to be the backup center for this team. He can help give Brook Lopez a break. He's a young, athletic big. He's only 26 years old. To get that for nothing, you don't find that very often, especially for a guy. And let's not forget, the Knicks have been, since Jericho Sims came into the NBA, the Knicks have been a playoff team. They've been a competitive team. And he's been getting valuable minutes. Obviously, this season, they've played him less. They don't throw a ton of lobs. They aren't really using him, especially with the acquisition of Cat, where he plays the majority of the minutes. And his role is diminished a little bit, and they're a fantastic defensive team. Now, for the Milwaukee Bucks, a team that desperately needs defense, you look at their depth chart, right? You now, of course, have Kyle Kuzma, assuming he's starting at the 3. Your backup center now can be Jericho Sims. Before, you did not have a big body backup center. Liam Robbins would come in occasionally. You have a guy in Jericho Sims who's going to immediately slide into that spot, and it would not surprise me if Brook gets into foul trouble, if they need another big body, that Jericho Sims comes in and plays around 10 to 15 minutes a game for this Bucks team. And is that a lot? No. Is it a game changer? No. But for getting it for a player that you signed in the offseason who literally did nothing for you, you can see his stats here, a horrible season for Delon Wright with the Milwaukee Bucks, coming off of, free agent contract where you were hoping you were going to be able to get some valuable minutes from him. They've shifted their focus strictly to Ryan Rollins as the backup point guard spot. I mean, AJ Green as well has taken over his minutes. All these different guys have taken over their minutes. And what that essentially means now is the Bucks got him for free. Yes, they gave a little bit of cash up to the Knicks, but if you are a Bucks fan, you got to be fairly happy with this trade. And let's not forget, the Bucks are now no longer a second apron team, which means they can aggregate some of their salaries. And we're now a little bit away from 12 to 18 hours away from the trade deadline. And as the trade deadline approaches tomorrow, it's now going to be interesting to see where the Bucks pivot. They have a backup center. There's some rumblings that you hope Bobby Portis is going to be on the way out now. It would be a little risky to get rid of your best bench player in Bobby Portis, at least offensive player, and have him in theory replaced with a guy like Jericho Sims. Jimmy Butler was traded to the Warriors, so that's obviously not going to happen. So now it's at a point where, Jimmy Butler's out of the mix, Zach LaVine's out of the mix. A lot of these guys are not available. What do the Milwaukee Bucks do? I mean, there's been some rumblings about Kevin Durant. I don't think the Bucks are going to be entertaining a trade with him. So at this point, you're at a critical juncture with this team now where the big thing is, do you go ahead and try to make a big splash? You still own your first round pick. They gave up A.J. Johnson, and A.J. Johnson was coming off of a really good game, some of the best, the best game of his professional career. And now with this trade of Jericho Sims, it addresses a big need, which is great. You don't give up very much at all. I think it's a very solid trade. Is it going to make a huge impact going forward for this team? Probably not. However, you cannot complain when you get a center of, an NBA caliber for nothing. Now, for the Knicks, they get a backup point guard. I assume they're going to use Delon Wright. There's the third string point guard, second string point guard, depending on who's injured and who's playing. And I mean, Delon Wright hasn't been great. He is a veteran, though, and I'm sure he'll probably be better on a team like the New York Knicks. They have a stretch four, obviously, and Delon Wright. I mean, we're probably also going to be seeing a lot of Giannis Antetokounmpo minutes at the 5 now, especially after this Kyle Kuzma signing. Now, maybe there's a world where if they have a bigger move incoming and they got Jericho Sims, maybe Kyle Kuzma's the Bobby Portis replacement if they go out and get another starter. There's a bunch of different avenues where the Bucks can go, and as we're less than 24 hours away from this trade deadline, things are going to be very, very interesting. One player is Cam Johnson. He is a name that's continued to be brought up. We're going to keep you up to date with all the latest Bucks news, and things are getting crazy. Late night deals, like we're going to keep covering them for you. And again, they're no longer a second apron team, so they can it's a lot easier for them to work a bigger deal now. So let me know down below what your thoughts are. Also, let me know what your thoughts are on the Kyle Kuzma trade after we've had some hours now to kind of simmer and reminisce about how good, Chris Middleton was for the team, but B, how Kyle Kuzma is going to fit into this team. Let me know down below. And also, are you excited for Jericho Sims? It's exactly what the team needed. Things are looking up a little bit. They still have work to do. They still have moves to do. And we're going to keep you up to date with all the latest Bucks news. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys later. Cheers.